Good evening, I'm Smriti Sudesh and welcome to Above the Fold. In this episode, we take a look at Trump's warning that has sparked alarm over possible Iran strikes, Kerala's new chief minister, the Supreme Court's remarks on UAPA cases and more. So stay tuned for the full report. Tensions are rising in West Asia after US President Donald Trump warned of a possible storm ahead, fueling fears of new US strikes on Iran. Trump posted an AI generated image online with a message: it was the calm before the storm, fueling speculation that Washington could resume strikes on Iran within days. The warning comes as Iran announced a new authority to manage the Strait of Hormuz, which Tehran has effectively closed, while diplomatic exchanges with the US are reportedly continuing through Pakistani mediation. Meanwhile, India has expressed deep concern over a drone strike near the UAE's Baraka nuclear facility, calling it an unacceptable escalation. The MEA also urged restraint and a return to dialogue and diplomacy. The UAE called the strike an unprovoked terrorist attack and said the plant remains safe and operational. Our international affairs editor, Stanley Johnny, joins us to discuss this in detail. So, Donald Trump today said that the clock is ticking for Iran, and he also said this is the calm before storm. So, is he probably signaling a renewed attack on Iran from these statements?
Yeah, you can't say with certainty because Trump had issued a lot of threats in the past, right? He wanted to destroy the Iranian civilization, destroy their uh, infrastructure, civilian infrastructure, and then every time he issued a major threat and then he would take a U-turn. So U-turn is nothing new for Donald Trump.
Right.
So we can't say with certainty what message he's actually trying to send. But at the same time, there is one thing is clear. There is a growing frustration in the US administration, the Trump administration, because the Iranians are not responding in the way the Americans wanted them to respond.
Right.
See, I think what Trump thought that after 40 days of bombing, he announced the ceasefire. He thought the Iranians were actually pushed to a corner and they will offer him new concessions. The Iranians are not interested in offering any new concession.
Right.
And when he realized that the Iranians were not offering a concession, he imposed a double blockade. So he imposed a blockade on Iranian ports in the Gulf of Oman, thinking that that would basically force the Iranian hands to change their position. But what actually happened is that the Iranians kicked down the nuclear issue down the aisle in the negotiation, in the ongoing negotiation. What they are now saying is that you first remove the blockade and then we will consider easing the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, and the nuclear issue could be discussed at a later stage.
Right.
So what you are witnessing now is some kind of a cat and mouse game. So Trump thought that when he imposed the blockade or when he bombed the Iranians, that they would make concessions.
Right.
But instead, what the Iranians are doing is only doubling down on their position.
Yeah.
And they are also playing this game with Donald Trump. So you can see this deepening frustration with Donald Trump because he is not getting what he wanted to get from the Iranians. At the same time, the Americans also know that 40 days of bombing achieved very little.
Yeah. So he wouldn't go back to those days.
So
right?
Returning to bombing, I mean, you never know. Desperate men take desperate actions. Donald Trump at this point of time looks like a desperate man.
But he wanted a ceasefire, right? So
yeah, he announced a ceasefire because he realized that the war was not reaching anywhere. He was not meeting any of his objectives in the war. It was actually the war that hardened the Iranian position. Strait of Hormuz was opened before the war. So Trump doesn't have an easy solution. So he declared a ceasefire because he thought that he would get something through negotiations. But the Iranians
and it's still happening, right? The negotiations.
Talks are going on, but the Iranians have ruled out no direct talks unless and until the blockade on the Gulf of Oman is removed. No direct talks. But yes, there are indirect talks going on through the Pakistanis, but the Iranians are not budging. They're not bowing. They're not giving Trump what he wants. So that's why you have the crisis now.
So you're saying we cannot predict what's going to happen next with all these
we cannot
statements.
predict, but we can certainly say that Trump is a desperate man. And there is deepening frustration at the White House.
And West Asia remains the top priority as Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets Norway Prime Minister and other members of the Nordic delegation. Here's what unfolded.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi landed in Oslo earlier today for a 2-day visit that includes bilateral talks with Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre. He will then meet with leaders of Sweden, Iceland, Finland, and Denmark as part of the third India-Nordic summit. On the agenda, war, one in Ukraine and the other in Iran. But with the Iran war causing major global supply chain disruptions, the major topic of focus is energy. The two are also expected to discuss trade and investment, green technology, and the blue economy. In a joint press meeting, the two announced the signing of a triangular development cooperation agreement to improve human development in the global south. The agreement aims to use India's implementation and digital infrastructure capacities with Norway's financing and technical expertise. They also upgraded their ties to the Green Strategic Partnership. Norway also joined the Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, which the two say will further strengthen maritime and ocean cooperation with India. Modi also praised Norway's commitment to eliminating terror for the world. The two agreed that diplomacy, not military force, is the key to resolving the conflicts in West Asia and Ukraine. Modi also received the Grand Cross of the Royal Norwegian Order of Merit, Norway's highest civilian honor. It's awarded for exceptional service in advancing Norway's interests and international relations.
Up next, Kerala has a new chief minister. Senior Congress leader V.D. Satheesan took oath along with his cabinet following the UDF sweeping assembly poll victory. More in this report.
Governor Rajendra Vishwanath Arlekar administered the oath to Satheesan and his 20-member cabinet at a packed central stadium in Thiruvananthapuram. The ceremony was attended by Congress leaders Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, and Mallikarjun Kharge, along with several chief ministers from Congress-ruled states. Satheesan succeeds Pinarayi Vijayan and becomes the 13th Chief Minister of Kerala. Calling himself a Nehruvian socialist, he said the new government would work towards building a Puduyuga Kerala or a new era Kerala. The Congress will have 11 ministers in the cabinet, including Ramesh Chennithila, Sunny Joseph, K. Muralidharan, A.P. Anilkumar, P.C. Vishwanath, T. Siddique, and Bindu Krishna. The cabinet also includes 5 ministers from the IUML and representatives from the Kerala Congress factions, the RSP, and the CMP. The UDF says this is the first time in 60 years that a full cabinet has been sworn in at one go. The cabinet includes 2 women ministers and 2 ministers from the scheduled caste communities. Thiruvanchur Radhakrishnan will be the new Speaker of the Kerala Legislative Assembly, while Shanimol Usman will serve as the Deputy Speaker. Apu John Joseph will be named as Chief Whip of the UDF government. Former CPIM leader G. Sudhakaran, who rebelled against the party and later won with the UDF support, has been appointed as pro tem Speaker. Senior advocate K. Jaju Babu, who earlier served as legal advisor to former Governor Arif Mohammad Khan, has been appointed as Advocate General. T. Asaf Ali, who served as Director General of Prosecution during the Umban Chandi government, has been reinstated to the post. Pinarayi Vijayan is set to become the new opposition leader. In its very first cabinet meeting, the UDF government announced 2 major poll promises under its Indira guarantees: free KSRTC bus travel for women from June 15th and the creation of a dedicated department for senior citizens, which Satheesan said could become a first-of-its-kind initiative in the country. The government also decided to increase the honorarium for ASHA workers and ordered a special investigation team probe into the alleged assault on KSU workers during the Navakerala Sadhas in 2023. With the new government now in office, all eyes will be on how quickly the UDF moves to implement its key promises in coming days.
Attention now shifts to the Supreme Court, where key observations during a UAPA hearing have once again brought focus to personal freedom and long jail terms without trial. Here's the full report.
The Supreme Court on Monday questioned the continued denial of bail in some UAPA cases, while granting relief to a Jammu and Kashmir man accused in a narco-terrorism case, who has spent the last 5 years in jail as an under trial. The court said that bail is the rule, even in cases filed under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, signaling concern over people remaining in prison for years before their trial is completed. A bench of Justices B.V. Nagaratna and Ujjal Bhuyan relied on the 2021 KA Najib judgment, which upheld the right to personal liberty and speedy trial even under strict anti-terror laws. The judges said earlier rulings like the Najib verdict must be followed by all courts and warned against weakening such protections through later judgments. The bench pointed to NCRB data showing that UAPA conviction rates across India remained between 1.5% and 4% between 2019 and 2023, while in Jammu and Kashmir, the conviction rate stayed below 1%, highlighting the large number of accused who are eventually acquitted after trial. The bench also referred to recent rulings, including the Kulfisha Fatima versus State of Delhi case, where former JNU student leader Umar Khalid and co-accused Sharjeel Imam were denied bail in the Delhi riots conspiracy case, despite spending over 6 years in jail as under trials. The judges warned that if courts automatically accept the claims made by investigating agencies at the bail stage, under trials could end up serving punishment even before being convicted.
Let's now turn to the Hindu roundup for some of our exclusive content. In an editorial titled Diversification Gains on India and its Export Competitiveness, the piece argues that India's export growth in April 2026 reflects increasing resilience and diversification despite global trade disruption. It highlights that merchandise export rose nearly 14%, driven by expanding markets for Indian goods and strong performance in sectors such as engineering and electronics. The editorial notes that non-oil exports also posted healthy growth, while service exports continue to play a larger role in India's economy. However, it warns that the ongoing West Asia crisis has sharply impacted trade with the region and cautions that India must further improve export competitiveness in cost, scale, and quality to emerge as a stronger global contender. Tap the card above to watch the editorial on the Hindu's Originals YouTube channel. Now, an update on the NEET UG paper leak case. The Central Bureau of Investigation announced today that they have arrested Shivraj Raghunath Motegaonkar after finding the leaked medical entrance exam paper on his phone. He runs the Renike chemistry classes in Maharashtra's Latur city. The CBI conducted a search yesterday, after which they arrested him. The CBI said the arrested is an active member of an organized gang that is behind the leakage and circulation of the NEET UG paper. In West Bengal, 40 people have been arrested after violence broke out at the Park Service 7-point crossing in Kolkata. Chief Minister Suvendu Adhikari said the state government will not tolerate violence against police personnel, and strict action would be taken against those who violate the law. His remarks came after he visited police officers injured in the violence. The protests were sparked by a recent demolition drive in Tiljala and a new ban on offering namaz on the road enacted by the new BJP government. Protesters had gathered at the 7-point crossing, blocking traffic and altering police authorities. Police and CRPF forces tried to disperse the crowd. Violence broke out and protesters pelted stones and vandalized police vehicles. The police then lathi-charged to break up the crowd. Former Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee condemned the ruling government. In a post on X, she said, "From homes to hawker stalls, the poor are paying the price of political arrogance. Bengal does not believe in bulldozer politics." And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts on today's episode in the comment section. If you found this video useful, don't forget to share it and save the Above the Fold playlist so you never miss an update.